What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. It's your boy WilOcho, back from O and the C with a big, exciting, just absolutely spectacular video coming for you guys today. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers yesterday signed running back Giovani Bernard after the Cincinnati Bengals so gracefully cut him from their roster. A beautiful move by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and thank you to the Cincinnati Bengals for allowing us to make it. If you guys watched the previous video posted on this channel about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers draft and what I think they need to address, I went through position needs that I felt like they needed in the draft. Problem with that video was the number one need that I identified for our Tampa Bay Buccaneers was a pass-catching running back. Well, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers either heard me, agreed with me, I don't know, but they've signed a pass-catching running back. So now that no longer becomes the number one need, a major need, even a position I think we would consider drafting at all, in the slightest. I don't think the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are going to draft a running back in this draft in any round, let alone round one, which is what I originally implied in my video they might do. Giovani Bernard is, I really don't want to understate or overstate. I always try to be like really accurate in what I say. I try to be like not too overzealous with things, and I also don't want to like diminish things. But for those of you who, you know, maybe you don't really care about the Bengals at all and you don't know anything about Gio Bernard, or not a lot at least about Gio Bernard, because he plays for the Bengals. It's a small market franchise. They don't win a ton of games, especially not over the last few years, and Giovani Bernard is maybe not the most exciting guy if you're not a Bengals fan or now a Bucs fan, but this guy is perfect for what the Tampa Bay Buccaneers needed. If you could have had me go through the National Football League and handpick guys to fill the role of receiving halfback in our offense currently, Giovani Bernard is like a top 10 guy on that list. This is a guy who is more than capable of fulfilling that role that James White, Kevin Falk, Dion Lewis, Danny Woodhead, Shane Vereen role for Tom Brady in this offense. My biggest picture takeaway, I can't believe that the NFL let this happen. I mean, if you could have looked at the Bucs offense, you take off your rose-petal glasses, you set them aside. Yesterday morning, you look at our offense, you could have picked out one major flaw in our offense. We don't have a true receiving halfback. That's the major flaw. And the knock on Tom Brady throughout most of his career by some Tom Brady haters is all he does is throw it to the running back. All he does is check it down. Well, Tom Brady proved last year he doesn't need that guy in his offense to be successful, because all he did was go out and win the Super Bowl without that guy. This year, we're going to have that guy, because Giovani Bernard is that guy and then some. He's perfect for a Tom Brady offense in so many ways, and we're going to run down the list right now. First and foremost, I always go to this when this is the case in videos. I always bring it up. Giovani Bernard is from Florida, born and raised in Florida, and I really think that that plays a factor with some of these guys and their decision to come to Tampa and come to the Bucs. Is the fact that, you know, you're going back to, not only is it nice weather, a gorgeous state to be in, Florida is wonderful to be in just in general, but when it's your home state on top of that, it gives you that extra kick of motivation. Like, yeah, I would like to go play for freaking Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Bucs in my home state. That sounds wonderful. Sign me up. Another thing that people may not realize about Giovani Bernard is the last couple years in Cincinnati, this guy, although he was not a starter in the typical sense, right, he was a captain for the Cincinnati Bengals. So he's a high quality, high character kind of guy. That's underrated. It's something that, you know, is not the reason you sign a guy just because of the fact that they were a team captain, but it's nice to know that you're getting a guy who is of premium character. You know, the Buccaneers have a lot of high character guys on the team right now. They're a very close-knit unit, and it's nice to add to that group with another guy who is going to be a professional. He's going to be mature. He'll show up. He'll work. Now, odds are he's not going to be a team captain for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers this year, but that's okay. He doesn't need to be. It just shows you that he has those personality traits that you would look for in a teammate. Another reason that Giovani Bernard is an absolutely perfect fit for what the Tampa Bay Buccaneers need, this is a guy who has never actually been a full-time starter. on the Cincinnati Bengals his entire career and been in the league for a fairly long time. He's 29 years old and he's never been a full-time starter. Now this works great for the Buccaneers two separate ways. The first is, this is a guy who is 29 years old, but he's a young 29. There's not a lot of mileage on him. He's not been run into the ground. He's not taking a beating each and every year. He's not getting a ton of reps over and over and over again and just getting hit and hit and hit and hit. He's never been asked to take on that kind of workload, and that's great for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers because he's likely to have longevity. He's a young 29. So even though 29 is kind of like a kind of age for running backs, and you start seeing guys getting those early 30s and late 20s, and you're like, oh, no. Giovani Bernard is not that. He's a young 29. That's beautiful for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The other great thing about Giovani Bernard never really being a full-time starter who eats reps throughout his career is he's not accustomed to being a star. And that's magnificent because the Tampa Bay Buccaneers do not need a star. They need a role player. The Tampa Bay Bucs need a guy who's willing to take a back seat. I think we'll probably discuss this ad nauseum throughout the season and maybe even through the rest of the offseason, but the Tampa Bay Buccaneers running back room is stacked. It may be one of the best position groups on the team now. When you look at the top 4 guys we've got at that position, I like them all. I really do. I like every single one of our running backs. I think they're really a very high potential group. Gio Bernard coming into that, if he were to come in with the mentality that, oh, I'm going to be the star, I'm going to take, a majority of the reps, and I'm going to be the best running back on the team, that's not going to really jive with what the Tampa Bay Buccaneers already have built. And we saw a little bit of that last year when there was some turmoil at certain points throughout the season between Leonard Fournette and Ronald Jones. That turmoil kind of originated from the fact that Leonard Fournette envisioned himself as a star. Leonard Fournette came to the team and thought, yeah, Ronald Jones is here, yeah, LaShawn McCoy is here, that's fine, but I'm going to be the starting running back soon enough, and I'm going to get my 15, 20 carries a game, and I'm going to be the guy who gets the touches and makes the plays. And that did not really materialize all throughout the regular season up until the playoffs. And we saw there was some friction there. We saw there was some turmoil there. Now, ultimately, Leonard Fournette is back, and he said he was humbled by his experience in Tampa Bay. And I think a big portion of the humbling, if you will, is the fact that he bought in to what the Bucs were selling. They said all year, Leonard, just wait. Just bide your time. It'll be your time soon enough. You'll get your moment. It will come. You just got to be patient. And he bought in. He said, okay, you know what? I'm going to trust the system, right? Trust the process. It worked out perfectly for him because he got his time to shine in the biggest moments of the year. And then he showed you what he could do. He showed you the kind of player that he was and the capabilities that he still possesses. And on top of that, they won. So from my perspective, that's a big part of the reason why Leonard Fournette is back and why he feels like he was humbled by his experience with the Tampa Bay Bucs. When you kind of put yourself out there and you buy into something that may otherwise be against what you originally believed or how you originally felt, you kind of go against the grain of your own intuition, your own gut, just to have trust and faith in someone else. And then that someone else kind of comes through for you and delivers like big time. Like I'm talking delivers you to a Super Bowl in which you were potentially like an MVP candidate of the entire playoff run and then the actual game of the Super Bowl itself. That's so rewarding, right? That is the ultimate feeling of reward because not only did I do it, we did it, I did it, it was perfect, but on top of that, I took a risk to obtain it because I literally went against what I thought I wanted, to just have faith in another person and trust someone else, and it worked. So I think that was a big part of why Leonard Fournette is back. But let's not forget about the friction that was there throughout the regular season. Let's not forget, Leonard Fournette was a healthy scratch in the Minnesota Vikings game, and we heard the reports of Leonard Fournette having to be spoken to by Bruce Arians. And Bruce Arians really had to say to him, either shape up or ship out. Like, you got to make a decision. You're kind of at a crossroads here. And that's going to be really interesting to see how the Bucs manage to get this all worked out next year with these guys. I don't know how they're going to do it because last year you basically had Leonard Fournette and Ronald Jones splitting 100% of the reps because LaShawn McCoy did not take a ton of reps throughout the season. Keyshawn Vaughn did not get a ton of reps throughout the season. Basically, those two guys split at pretty much all of the reps, right? So when you have that, it's much easier to find guys opportunities because, okay, if we're splitting it down the middle 50-50, it's not too bad because Leonard Fournette could take all of the pass catching reps because we're not throwing the ball to Ronald Jones, and Ronald Jones can take, a little bit more of the running reps, and it kind of meshes together as even at the end, right? That's what they kind of settled on in the playoffs. Both guys were pretty heavily involved. Both guys got their opportunities to make plays. Now you're throwing kind of a monkey wrench into that because Leonard Fournette is no longer getting any of those pass catching reps. He is not getting those reps like he got last year. He may get some here and there. They'll be sprinkled in. But Giovani Bernard is now the pass-catching running back. So now instead of having two guys splitting 100% of the reps, which was not a great, mesh last year for a large portion of last year, now you have two guys splitting maybe 65, 70% of the reps. There's a whole 30, 35% that is now going to Giovani Bernard. And nobody's taking those reps away from him because he's a different type of player. You now have two guys in Ronald Jones and Leonard Fournette who kind of fulfill the same role and kind of fulfill the same obligation at the running back position. They're running backs. They're not catching backs. Both of them are going to be on the Buccaneers to be running backs. Now, different styles of running backs, no doubt. They definitely have different games. But they are running backs, and they're there to tote the rock. Giovani Bernard, he may get very minimal rushing attempts this season. You may see him get more catches or receiving yards than he gets rushing yards. That's highly likely. It's definitely possible for this season going forward with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But just understand that Leonard Fournette's role now becomes even more minimized because Giovani Bernard is going to take a lot of those opportunities away from him that he was feasting on last year. So I'll be interested to see how that dynamic works. I hope Leonard Fournette really meant what he said when he said he was humbled, because he's really going to be put to the test. His ego is going to be put to the test this year, big time for the Bucs. And if there's anybody who could get it right and, get all of these guys on the same page and make it work, it's Tom Brady. I absolutely believe in the leadership of Tom Brady. He made it work last year. I think he can make it work again. It's just something that you're going to have to find that sweet spot. Like, how can we get all of these guys enough touches so they're satisfied, and enough touches where they all feel like they're contributing and they're all happy to be on the team and everybody's loving everybody. I can't believe I'm saying it, but the Buccaneers have a team of superstars. When you have a team of superstars, the biggest thing is dissension, like in the ranks, because people get upset that they're not getting the opportunity they believe their talent merits them getting. And I think it's going to be tough to tell Leonard Fournette, who just did what he did in the playoffs and just did what he did in the Super Bowl, like, yeah, well, I don't know. I just think it's going to be tough. But like I said, if anybody could do it, it's Tom Brady. I went on a little bit of a rant there, but hey, no regrets. I'm in a great mood. I'm loving this. Tampa Bay Buccaneers getting Gio Bernard is also great because Gio Bernard has never started. That's how we got on the rant. The reason that's great is because Gio is going to come into the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and he's not going to start. He's not going to play a ton. Like I said just before, he may get more receptions than rush attempts. He may get more receiving yards than rushing yards. I think that's totally possible for the Bucs this year. And he's got to come in knowing that, and he's got to have the right mentality. You have to come in and be aware of what your role is going to be coming in. You can't come in thinking that, oh, I'm a big dog, I'm a dominate, I'm a ball out, because you're just not going to get the opportunity on the Bucs. They're just too deep. They're too stacked. There's too many other good players. You're not going to get that opportunity to be top dog on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, really, no matter how talented you are, because there's just so many other guys. That leads us to the situation of how Giovani Bernard is actually going to help us out on the field. This is the part of it that I really can't even believe, like I said, that the league let this happen. I mean, the NFL must just want to lose. They just want to bow down to Tom Brady as much as they possibly can. I can't believe all 31 other NFL teams, I guess not the Cincinnati Bengals, since they let him go. Well, yeah, they let him go. So yeah, all 31 other NFL teams. You guys, literally, I can't believe you did this. You blew it for yourself. You gave Tom Brady the last thing that he needed, and you gave him the ultimate weapon to fill that role. I mean, why would you do that? Why would you let that happen? Like, that's just so silly. You guys are being so silly. Like, it does not take me telling you this or a genius to figure it out. Like, Giovani Bernard is perfect for this offense, and he's going to help out the Bucs in so many different ways. Number one, not a sexy thing, not an exciting thing, but it is important, so we'll address it first and we'll just get it out of the way. Giovani Bernard is an excellent pass protection running back. He's small, so you might not think he's going to block or do that well, but he is a good pass blocker. And that is huge for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers because it means you can play any down, you could stay on the field. Those are the guys that Tom Brady trusts. A big part of why Leonard Fournette was in a lot in passing situations over a guy like Ronald Jones, besides the fact that Ronald Jones couldn't catch, is the fact that Leonard Fournette understands blocking. We've seen on multiple occasions Bruce Arians has benched Ronald Jones or pulled Ronald Jones for a missed assignment in pass protection. So having a guy who is rock solid in pass pro, that's a big deal. Not exciting, I understand, but it is a big deal. Now that we got that out of the way, how is he going to help us the most, guys? This is an obvious one. Giovani Bernard's going to catch the football. I mean, this guy's going to get targeted like a ton. I don't think people really realize how versatile Giovani Bernard is. I'm not saying he's Christian McCaffrey. That's not what I'm saying. Don't put those words in my mouth. Is he the type of running back that Christian McCaffrey is? Yes. Yes, he is. He's that exact player. If you go back and you watch, I'd implore you guys to go look at Giovani Bernard's highlights from last year. There's like a bunch of different highlight videos up on YouTube of Giovani Bernard. You could just search him. It'll take you like 2 seconds. And within the first 3 or 4 plays, you're going to be like, oh yeah. Yeah. That's the guy. There's nobody on our team right now in our running back room who can do the things that he can do. He is a perfect complement to what the Bucs currently have. He's the only guy that possesses the skill set that he has. And it's not just the ability to catch the football. It's not just the ability to go run a screen. That's not really what, I mean, that's great. And Gio's going to be doing a ton of that this year, so get used to watching it. But it's going to be lining him up all across the formation. Giovani Bernard can play the slot. Giovani Bernard can line up out wide. He can run routes. He could run wide receiver routes from those positions and catch the football. Giovani Bernard out of the backfield, right? We've all played Madden. You know what a Texas route is. Giovani Bernard will eat linebackers alive on Texas routes. Do you understand how much Tom Brady is going to love playing with Giovani Bernard? I mean, he is literally going to feast with Gio. Like, they are going to click instantly. They're going to be just a perfect tandem. He is a clone of all of the great running backs that Tom Brady has loved. He is exactly that player. He's going to line up in the slot, run all sorts of option routes. He's going to catch the ball, and then he's got the ability to boom, hit it. We talked about this in the last video just yesterday. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers don't have a lot of explosive athletes. You always hear the NFL today is a space game, and you want to get your best players to football in space, right? You want to get it to your guy in space, let him work. Well, the Bucs don't really have a true, like, guy that you really want to see in space in that regard, right? Like, we talked about yesterday, Ronald Jones is definitely explosive. We said Scotty Miller's got some explosion. Watch yesterday's video. We cover this stuff. But we don't have a guy, to me, who's like just built for that, for the way the NFL is played in space. Now we do. I mean, Giovani Bernard is the textbook example of a guy who plays in space. A nightmare to tackle in space. Get him out in front with a blocker on a corner, something like that, on the edge. It's a joke. It's a game over. Like, you're talking about a minor acquisition in terms of what I assume the salary is going to be. Unfortunately, I'm looking and I cannot find anything on the salary yet. I don't know why it's taking so long to actually get the salary released, but whatever. Minor in terms of salary and in terms of the length of the contract, and minor when you look, you know, in name value, right, in brand recognition. Giovani Bernard is not like a big name. Oh, Gio Bernard! That's not how people are viewing Gio. This guy is going to be a household name for Bucs fans, like, 2 games into the season. Like, Giovani Bernard is going to light it up for the Bucs this year. I feel so confident in saying that. No doubt in my mind, barring health. Health is obviously always something that, you know, injuries could derail anything. But barring health, there's nothing that is going to stand in the way of Giovani Bernard and Tom Brady just clicking. And just every game, I think you're going to see Giovani Bernard getting catches, yards. And I really, like I said, I don't want to oversell anything or be too overzealous. Look at Tom Brady's track record. look at who he succeeds with. Look at just the type of athlete Tom Brady succeeds with. Now, Mike Evans is a phenomenal athlete. Mike Evans is a great wide receiver, one of the very best. Is Mike Evans the type of receiver that Tom Brady has had his most success with throughout his tenure in the National Football League? No, it's not. No, it's really not. Like, Mike Evans is great. I'm not taking anything away from him. I'm not even saying that Mike Evans and Tom Brady won't have more success next year or that they didn't have success last year. I'm saying over Tom Brady's tenure, it's very clear what type of player he likes to have around him. You can look at the guys that he plays with. They're all of similar builds. They're all of similar styles. Mike Evans is not that style, right? You know who is that style? Giovani Bernard. Like, he's a perfect Tom Brady. I mean, let me take it. I call Tom Brady football Jesus. So let me take it to this level. He's a perfect Tom Brady disciple. He will spread the good word of Tom Brady, catching touchdowns from Tom all year long. Like, this is a perfect move for the Bucs. I can't even believe that we have our biggest need going into the draft addressed before the draft in free agency with probably a guy who would be better than anybody we could have drafted, because you know what you're getting, right? With a draft pick, even at a safe position, like running back is usually a safe position. Very, very rarely do running backs bust. So you're pretty safe with the running back position. But even with running backs, the draft is an unknown. You're getting a guy who's never played against National Football League talent. You're getting a guy who doesn't necessarily know NFL systems, and it's an unknown. You don't know how a guy's going to respond when you give him a ton of money, and all of a sudden he's a professional, and he's got to act like a professional. You just don't know. Instead of having to take any type of risk, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers signed a guy who is a stone-cold, true professional, who already knows what it's like to be in the NFL, who's been in the NFL for so long. And they just get him casually. Like, it's not even a big deal. Not even in the first wave of free agency where you had to overpay. Not even in the second wave of free agency. They get him all the way in the third wave of free agency. I mean, it's just perfect all around. This is an outstanding move for the Bucs. If you can't tell by my enthusiasm, like, this is perfect for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I just can't believe the NFL let this happen. Like, I just can't believe it. Like, I don't want to jinx the repeat, and I haven't really talked about the repeat a lot. I do think it'll still be tough, but boy, the repeat is just, it's not even about the fact that, like, oh, do I think the Bucs could repeat? Do I not? Do I think we're good? It's not even like that. I look at the team and I'm like, man, like, where is the weakness? Like, on the Tampa Bay Bucs, what are you doing to stop us next year? I just don't know. Like, I don't know how you game plan for this as a defensive coordinator coming in next year. You're screwed. Like, the Buccaneers are now in a situation where they can ground and pound you. We've got 3 good running backs, maybe even 4. Maybe even 4 good running backs, because I like Keyshawn Vaughn. And then, if you thought for a second that you weren't going to leave your safeties back, you thought, oh, it's a good idea for me to come up because I got to stop that run game? Are you kidding me? Have you seen our receivers? Like, we have the best receiving core in the league, discounting the tight ends. We're 4 deep at tight end. We're 4 deep at wide receiver. 3 deep at running back with a good offensive line. I don't know what you do as a defensive coordinator. I mean, I really, like I said, anything is possible. I'm not saying the Bucs are automatically going to repeat, but man, I mean, you're just in trouble. Like, the whole NFL, they done messed up. Like, they done messed up. You just gave Tom Brady, who just won the Super Bowl and had one of his best years of his career, right? You just gave that guy a whole entire offseason to get to know his whole team better. And you gave him his blankie. You actually I can't believe you did it, NFL, but you gave Tom Brady, you said, you know, Tom, it looked like last year it was a little difficult at times. I saw Leonard drop it to ball, saw Rojo drop it to ball. Sometimes you had to bomb it when you didn't want to bomb it. Well, you know what? Let's just give you that little security blanket that you've had your whole career. Your whole career you've had this guy. The one year you didn't have him, you won the Super Bowl anyway, so it didn't matter. But now we're going to make it even easier on you. We're just going to give you that guy again. Here you go, Tom. Here's a pass-catching running back who's been there and done that. I mean, what are you doing, NFL? I can't believe I cannot believe that the NFL let us get Giovani Bernard. This is a huge move for the Bucs. I can't say it too many times. It's a huge move for the Bucs. Like, this is one of the bigger moves of the offseason because it makes our team so much better. It fills such a necessary role that we needed filled. Like, the biggest need on the Bucs is now done. It's answered. It's not a need. Gio is perfect. Perfect fit. Another great thing about Giovani Bernard, and this may have factored in with the fact that he came to the Bucs. Now, looking here on Google, and it does say that there were some other teams, including the Kansas City Chiefs, interested in Gio, which I think is an interesting one because they have Clyde Edwards-Helaire there, and he is of a similar style of running back to Giovani Bernard. So I'm kind of surprised that they would also want Gio, but I'll take Google at its word. It says it right there. Who am I to call them a liar? The other great thing about the Bucs getting Gio, though, is this is a guy who, and I mean this with no disrespect to Cincinnati Bengals fans or to the Cincinnati Bengals, but this is a guy who is coming from playing football in the Midwest, in Ohio, for a losing franchise. He's never won a playoff game, and he's coming from snow to sunshine. He's coming from losing to Super Bowl contender. Okay, this is a guy who is about to go to football heaven. Like, you don't think that's going to motivate a guy? You don't think that that's going to rejuvenate him and just make him really fall back in love with the game of football? Tom Brady is absolutely going to get the best out of Giovani Bernard. Whatever the best of Giovani Bernard is, maybe it's something we've already seen with the Bengals. Maybe we have not seen his best yet. Tom's going to get the best out of him. He's about to have a blow-up year, and he's going to be putting everybody on notice, like who Giovani Bernard is and what he's all about, because he is going to blow up this year in a huge way for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He's about to be like the star of every PPR fantasy team, right? They're all going to be like, oh, Giovani Bernard had another 20-point game because he caught 7 balls, ran 2 times for 20 yards. Like, he's just going to be that guy this year for the Tampa Bay Bucs. And I just can't believe the NFL let it happen. I guess that's really what it is. I'm just shocked that no team said, we can't let Tom Brady get this guy too. Like, he already beat us without that guy. And now you're going to go let him get that guy? Like, wow, man. Big signing for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I say this in all of my videos. I'm saying it again. Guys, you could have been way ahead of the curve if you followed me on Instagram. I posted a daily Bucs Minute the day the Cincinnati Bengals cut Giovani Bernard. I posted a daily Bucs Minute saying the Bucs have got to go get him. They've got to make this move. It was a great move. Then I posted one yesterday when we signed him, talking about how pumped I was. Obviously, I'm a day late on the video on YouTube. So, guys, go to the Instagram. Check it out. It happens live. It happens so quick. It happens like that and like this and like this and like that. You got to go check it out. Leave a like. Leave a comment. I mean, honestly, skip the likes. I shouldn't say skip the likes. I mean, leave a like too. But leave a comment. I really want to see how hyped up you guys are about this move. Are you as hyped as I am, or am I just like on another one right now? Because I am freaking amped about this move. So let me know in the comments down below, how pumped are you about this move? Did you expect it? Are you surprised? What do you think about it? I would really love to hear from you guys, because this is some big time stuff. Giovani Bernard is a member of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, your 2020 Super Bowl champions, baby. Woo! Let's go Bucs.